Have you ever wondered how a creature can hunt in complete darkness without making a single sound? Have you ever thought, what gives an owl such deadly precision in the night? And what if I told you, there's a silent predator watching every movement? Right now, in the dark? Welcome to Echoes of the Wild, where nature speaks and we listen, right now. As the sun disappears and darkness slowly takes over, this is his time. The great horned owl, one of the most powerful hunters of the night. A bird built not just to survive, but to dominate the darkness from high above a quiet forest clearing. He watches, still, silent, patient. His eyes, designed for the night, pull in every last drop of light. But sight alone isn't his greatest weapon. He listens, and not in the way you might think. Those horn-like shapes on his head. They're not ears at all, just feathers. His real ears are hidden, and placed unevenly on his head, one slightly higher than the other. It may sound strange, but this tiny difference changes everything, because when a sound reaches each ear at a slightly different time, his brain calculates the exact location. Perfect accuracy, even in total darkness. Let me pause here for a moment. Let that sink in. Imagine sitting in a pitch-black room, no light at all, and someone drops a pin somewhere. You might hear it, but could you tell exactly where? 3 feet left? 2 feet behind? Probably not. But the great horned owl can. Not just left or right, but up, down, forward, backward, with millimeter precision. And he does this while flying, while diving, while killing. That is not hearing. That is a weapon. Now, let's return to the forest. A faint rustle. Dry leaves shift on the forest floor. Somewhere below, a small creature moves. Unaware, a deer mouse, searching for food, completely exposed. The mouse has no idea that 50 feet above him, death is watching. The mouse stops, sniffs the air, listens. Nothing, just wind, just the soft whisper of pine needles. So he moves again, 1 step, 2 steps, 3. The owl stays still. But then, a slight turn of the head. Not dramatic, not fast, just a few degrees. But that tiny movement changes everything. Because inside the owl's skull, a map is being drawn. A live, 3-dimensional map of every sound below. The mouse's heartbeat, the scratch of its tiny claws on bark, the exhale of its breath, and suddenly, everything aligns. His hearing locks in, his vision follows. And now, the target is fixed. No hesitation, no warning. He moves. But here's the most terrifying part. You won't hear it. Not a whisper, not a flutter, not a single decibel of warning. His wings are specially designed, with soft fringed feathers that silence every flap. No sound, no signal, no chance to escape. Let me explain what happens inside those wings. Most bird feathers are smooth and stiff. When they flap, air rushes over them and creates turbulence, and turbulence creates sound. But the great horned owl has 3 layers of silence built into his wings. First, the leading edge of his primary feathers is covered in tiny comb-like fringes. They break the air into microturbulences that cancel each other out. Second, the rest of the feather has a velvety surface, soft as a moth's wing, that absorbs what little sound remains. Third, the trailing edge is ragged, not smooth, like a torn piece of cloth. That ragged edge dissolves the final vibrations before they ever become sound. 3 layers of engineering that human scientists still struggle to replicate perfectly. And nature built this into a bird millions of years ago. So when the great horned owl leaves that branch, he doesn't fly. He pours himself into the darkness, silent, invisible, inevitable, even while flying. He continues to hear every movement below. Most predators lose their senses when they move. A running fox can't hear a mouse. A lunging snake can't see clearly. But the owl, his brain processes sound even during a dive. He can adjust his trajectory mid-flight based on a mouse blinking, literally blinking. And the mouse, it never even knows what's coming. One moment, foraging. The next moment, gone. In a single silent moment, it's over. No scream, no struggle, nothing. Because the great horned owl doesn't just strike. He wraps his talons around the mouse before the mouse's nervous system can even register danger. Those talons, curved like black steel, close with a force of over 500 pounds per square inch. Enough to sever the spine instantly. That's not cruelty. That's mercy in the wild now. Let me tell you what happens next. The owl doesn't eat immediately. He flies back to a low branch. He swallows the mouse whole, fur, bones, teeth, everything. Later, his stomach will form a pellet of indigestible parts, fur and bone, and he'll cough it out. No waste, no trace. A perfect predator, but the night is long, and one mouse is not enough. A great horned owl needs to eat 15 to 20% of its own body weight every single night. In winter, even more. That means on a cold December night with snow on the ground and frost in the air, this single owl will hunt and kill 3, 4, sometimes 5 creatures, mice, voles, rats, even skunks, because great horned owls have almost no sense of smell. Even other birds. Even other owls. Yes, they eat other owls. Now, imagine you are a rabbit. You sit perfectly still under a bush. You haven't moved in 20 minutes. Your ears are tall. Your nose is twitching. You feel nothing, see nothing, hear nothing, but above you, 60 feet up, those uneven ears have already measured the distance to your skull. Those night vision eyes have already calculated your trajectory if you bolt left. And those silent wings are already open. You don't see him drop. You don't hear the air split. You just feel 1 second of pressure, and then nothing. That is the reality of the wild. Out here, survival isn't optional. It's everything. Every movement, every second, every breath is a fight to stay alive. And for the great horned owl, the night isn't just darkness, it's power. But let me ask you something. Have you ever sat alone in a forest at night? Not near a city, not with a flashlight. Truly alone, truly dark. The kind of dark where you can't see your own hand, where every leaf crack sounds like a footstep, where your imagination fills in the gaps that your eyes cannot. In that darkness, do you ever wonder what's watching you? Not in fear, just quietly. Because the great horned owl doesn't see humans as prey. We're too big, but he sees us. He hears us. He knows we are there long before we know he is there. And if you've ever walked under a forest canopy at midnight and felt a strange stillness, a pause in the air, the feeling that every insect, every frog, every living thing has suddenly gone quiet, that's not your imagination. That's an owl hunting nearby. Everything in the forest knows. The mice know. The rabbits know. The snakes know. Even the other birds, who sleep with one eye open, know. They go silent because silence is the only defense against a predator who hunts by sound. No song, no chirp, no rustle, complete stillness. And in that stillness, the owl listens even more carefully, because a silent forest is just as loud to him as a screaming one. Every absence of sound is also information. Now, let me tell you a secret. The great horned owl is not born this way. A baby owl, called an owlet, is clumsy, fluffy, almost cute. It cannot hear perfectly. It cannot fly silently. Its first attempts at hunting are failures more often than successes, but the mother owl teaches. Week after week, night after night, she doesn't feed the owlet if it doesn't try. She doesn't protect it from small failures. She lets it fall. She lets it struggle. She lets it practice the silent flight until the feathers learn their job, and by the time that owlet is 1 year old, it is deadlier than anything else in the forest except its own parents. This is not cruelty. This is nature's university, and every night, graduation is a kill. Now, let's widen the lens again. The forest is not just this clearing. It is miles of pine, oak, maple, and birch. It is creeks and rocks and fallen logs. And in every corner of this forest, there are thousands of stories like this one. A fox stalking a vole in tall grass. A snake coiled under warm stone. A spider perfectly still in the center of a web that took 3 hours to build. But none of them hunt like the owl. None of them own the night the way he does. Because the owl doesn't just adapt to darkness. Darkness adapts to him. He is darkness with eyes, silence with a heartbeat, gravity with a will. And if you ever find yourself standing in a forest at the edge of midnight, and you feel the air change, and you hear absolutely nothing, do not look up, because some things should remain a mystery. But if you do look up, if you cannot help yourself, you might just see 2 glowing eyes reflecting the last sliver of starlight. And then you will understand. The night has a king, and his name is not spoken. It is heard in the absence of sound, in the sudden stillness of the forest, in the soft, impossible silence of wings that should not exist. That is the great horned owl, and that is Echoes of the Wild. If you want to witness more untold stories of nature, more silent hunters, and more moments that will leave you speechless, make sure you subscribe to Echoes of the Wild and become part of the journey, because out here, nature never sleeps.